Hello everyone, we are on Covenant 10. We lost a run on Covenant 9, then we won the next one. Still haven't won yet with Umbra, but we did unlock the Melting Remnant now, so we actually have all 5 clans available, not necessarily all of their alternate clans, but that's okay. So random means a lot more now than it used to, because instead of just swapping basically back and forth between playing Hellhorned Awoken and Awoken Hellhorned, we actually have all 5 choices available. So our deck can be fairly diverse now. You still only get 2 clans at a time. But our big thing to note here is that on Covenant 10, our friendly units enter dazed on the top floor, which means that if the collector spawns on the second turn, on the first turn, you need to be putting something out there if you want to kill it, because otherwise you can pop a unit up there and it won't attack while dazed. Without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, button didn't click. Let's try it again. There we go. And we are being given a Stygian Hellhorned run again. Actually, we may not have done a Stygian Hellhorned run before. I think our Stygian Awoken run was the one that we've done multiple times. Let's take a look. Stygian Hellhorned. No, we've done that, but it was all the way back at Covenant 2, so it'll be nice to refresh that banner if we can do that. Alright, so we've got an Incant Apply Armor 1 that applies us the ability to tank up frontline units just a little bit by casting lots of spells on the floor. We have units instead of spells, so no torches here, so we don't have any targeted backline damage, but we do have a whole bunch of frontline damage with our Frozen Lances and Implings. And then we've got a Hornbreak, which takes care of our backline problems, as well as Flash Freeze, so the game's got us covered on spells. We're probably not going to look to take a whole lot of spells early on, unless they are just massively high value. With Tethys, I kind of like the idea of grabbing the artifact first. Ooh, this is a really hard choice. So there's 2 things to think about here, and I like to talk through the decisions, as you guys should hopefully know by now. Advanced Prototype we've seen before. We advanced through Covenant 5 with it. I think it was Covenant 5, might have been 6. Either way, getting those stewards an early boost really helps you. And one of the ways that that actually additionally helps us here is that Tethys is super weak. He starts off with 3 health, and he either gets sweep or frostbite, but either way it's not anything that's going to... His first upgrade is not going to win you the first couple of fights by himself, so he needs a lot of help. And giving all 4 of your trained stewards the ability to be 10 times 2 13s with 2 damage shield is exactly that. That is a way to bridge the gap until you get much better units. And really, I say much better, but a 10-13 that's got multi-strike and damage shield 2 and still has 2 upgrade slots is nothing to sneeze at. That's actually a pretty good unit. So that's a fantastic artifact. The other thing, though, that it's being pitted against is also really good for us. We literally just talked about having a ton of spells in our deck. So if we look at our deck, we have these 2, we have these 4, we have these 2. So we've got 8 spells that we are probably pretty happy to cast most of the time, especially 4 of them. The question is whether or not we're going to get 3 on a given turn. That's not going to come up really on the first 2 battles, because there aren't enough waves for you to get all the guys out of your deck, because we've also got 8 units, 9 units, 10 units if you count Tethys, but you always get him in the opening hand, so you don't really have to like draw him on subsequent turns. We really don't expect to get 3 spells cast on the first turn with Forgotten Name, but what you do expect to do is later on, once you thin out your units, you should be drawing 3 spells a turn. We have 3 spells a turn that we can play. And what this does is giving us magic power will make all of our spells do more damage, so we can look to take things like Ice Storm, that does 1 damage 5 times, and so every single magic power that we get is going to increase its damage by 5, which stacks up fairly quickly. I really like the scaling that gives you, but I'm not sure that we can greed for it. I would like to take it, but I think, man, I think we're being pushed towards advanced prototype here. What else is coming up? So we have no other way of replenishing the damage shield, and we have no way of healing our units, but we can apply armor at points. So these guys can even technically sort of become tanks for us as long as we're okay putting armor into them. That may be enough. That may be enough. But then again, we're also playing 2 clans that have a lot of damage spells in them with direct damage. So Forgotten Name is still pretty good. Wow. 50-50 here. What do we want to do with this deck? What do we want to do with this deck? So we've got Incant on this, and it is 1 card, right? And I don't want to over-index into that, and the fact that we have 4 Train Stewards is a thing, but we'll often want to get rid of some of those. We're very much going to get rid of probably 2 or 3 of our Queen Zimplings, so those aren't really a consideration here, but there are a lot of Incant abilities on the Stygian Guard. There are units, the backline units that get stronger, there are frontline units that get armor, and then this one obviously applies armor to its entire row, which encourages us to cast spells. As soon as we're casting spells, then we're encouraged to take Forgotten Name. So really it's just, can we kill the first couple of units? So let's look at this with a little bit of goggles towards the first boss. He's going to have about 50 health. No, he might have 100 health now. Do we have the additional minor bosses have more health yet? No. They just do more damage. So... Oh, no, it says enemies are stronger, so that might actually do it right there. Anyway, let's just assume that he has 100 health. So we need to do 100 damage to a boss before he comes through. Tethys is not going to be doing us any favors here as far as soaking damage. So really we just need Train Stewards to sit in front of him, and we need to do damage there. So we might be scraping the barrel a little bit if we take this, but this is our long-term play where this is going to help us through the entire run, and this is just going to help us for the first 2. We're still early enough in the Covenant levels where I'm not as scared of dying on floor 1 or 2 as I am in Covenant 25 when everything has stacked up. So I think we can greed and take this, but once again, this is another decision that we can come back to and yell at ourselves later for. You know what, the final thing is, let's look through here and see what we've got coming up. So we have a Stygian banner on a Merchant of Steel, so we can upgrade units there right after getting something else, hopefully, that has an Incant ability on it. And then it's not really until after the first boss that you ever see unstable vortexes anyway, but the main thing we're looking at here is like, what's the distribution of where units are? So you got 2 banners here, 2 banners here, 1 banner here, and I think that's the last banner we're going to see. So we're not really guaranteed to see a whole lot of units here, because you can only choose 1, 2, 3 at most. And then probably we'll get a unit draft once or twice from fights. So 5 units is actually probably enough for us to go ahead and take Forgotten Name. If we were going to get less than that consistently, then it might be worth missing. Okay, so Frostbite's there. Sweep Spell Weakness does do one interesting thing. That means we can put him on the bottom and try to use like a Frozen Lance or a Hornbreak on the boss. If he doesn't die on the bottom floor, then we can smack him with something that does, times 3 or times 4 damage. And that might be enough to take him out. Frostbite 10 is obviously the other choice that we have gone through and done before. Let's take the sweep. Sweep also helps us take out backline units, and we've already said that we have limited abilities to do that. Enemies entering with armor 10 does make them slightly harder to kill. That being said, we can play all but one thing in our hand. We have enough spell damage that I believe it is impossible for us not to kill the Collector. Unless we draw 4 trained stewards and a deadweight. Okay, impossible is not the right term, but it is highly unlikely for us to not be able to kill the Collector. So unless we draw 4 trained stewards and a deadweight next turn, even if it spawns up here, we should be able to stab it with something. So let's do the bottom floor thing. Or think about the bottom floor thing, I think. So if we put Guardian out there, and then Horn break one of these guys, we've still got 15 damage incoming. Nope, don't think we can do it. Okay. So we'll go up to the middle floor, go ahead and put Tethys there, we'll go ahead and put Guardian Stone in front of him, because he is technically less important. I think we do want to take out one of these guys, and then we'll go ahead and knock off all of his armor. Okay, so this is there, that's good. We can put a trained steward here, that's great. Using a frozen lance gives us armor across the board, as well as taking out that front guy. Then we have one more that we can use to do something. So we can either frozen lance, which will kill the front guy, we can flash freeze and kill the back guy, or we can Queen's Impling and kill the front guy and save ourselves 3 health on this guy, which I think is probably worth it. So it's 1 less armor on everybody else, but at least we're looking at fairly weak everything. Okay, so now we just want to focus on casting some spells to save ourselves some life, so obviously 1 goes there. Do we want to let that through? We might want to let that through. Let's just see what this does here. So that'll actually take out a guy that way, and then we lose the trained steward, but these 2 guys are still there, so that's fine. We'll deal with that next turn. Okay. So we knew this was going to hurt. That's okay. 1, 2, 3. We avoid taking damage. Put him in front. And then we want to arm break one of these guys. Arm break one of these guys. And then we've done a little bit of damage. We're going to take 3. Okay, and then we will play the rest of our hand. So he's got 4 spell weakness, so we want to do as much initial damage first. So Frozen Lance it is. Then Flash Freeze, and then Trained Steward. And then we're going to take more damage. We will survive, I think, but it's a little ugly. We take a lot of damage. Once again, we knew this was certainly a possibility. Forgotten Name didn't really get to do much. That's okay. Titan's Gratitude is an attuned spell. It also costs 1. It also only affects the front enemy unit. We have a lot of things that already do that, but it does do that much harder than anything else. So I'm still okay with taking it. I just don't want to take more than 1. We already have 2 horn breaks. I don't think we need a vent. We could take a hidden passage, but I don't think that's what we do in this game. Okay, so we do get a unit. Immediately, Consumer of Crowns is hilarious, but we don't want it. Icy Silophyte does do sweep, which is cool. We already have a sweep unit, though. We could take a Horned Warrior, which is just a decent backline unit. He's not overly exciting, but he's also not bad. We haven't won with him yet. This is not a run that's looking super one yet, but just in case. So we're trying to do the incant thing, right? So if we're doing the incant thing, then I want to take creatures that don't synergize with that. And that is one of them. So gaining Rage 2, though, is less specifically cool. Well, you know what? Gaining Rage does synergize with other things in the Hellhorn kit, so that's kind of uniquely cool here. We can do Large Stone on somebody. That's probably worth it. So we can turn this guy into a pseudo-tank, we can turn her into a pseudo-tank. Let's turn her into a pseudo-tank. She's got a little bit more health to work with to start with, and we'll give him enough health to where he doesn't just blow up immediately, and we'll give her even more health because she is actually a tank now. Okay, so we're out of money, but that's okay. We've got a couple of units that will bridge our gap now the way Advanced Prototype was supposed to do. Also, putting the bonus health on her means that that helps us when we are trying to set up our incant floor. So she can, we're going to put her up here, we're going to put him right behind her, and then we're going to put the little incanty dude behind that. So let's kill a unit, and then let's kill another unit. These guys are going to go up to the top immediately, so getting rid of as many as possible is, I think, worth it. Even though that costs us being able to play our other unit probably in its entirety. We can take out both of these things, giving ourselves lots of armor. We forgo the collector bonus, so that's a poor planning on our part, but we deserve this. We chose to do that to ourselves. Let me cast these things just so that we don't lose all of our armor. We did get one magic power, so hooray! Let's make her take 2 turns to get up here. Let's get some additional things off the board that way. And then the sweep obviously takes care of that. We give her some flash freeze. We can put out 2 units, which means we actually do 10 damage that way. That's cool. And now we just do things in an order that makes sense. If we cast Titan's Gratitude first, it may accidentally drop one of these other 2 spells. We don't want to do that, so we're just gonna, quickly kind of step through here. And Tethys even survives to save the day here. So Tethys being on the top floor is not really what we want eventually, because obviously him applying spell weakness doesn't matter when things get to the Pyre Room, because you can't cast anything up there during the battle sequence. You can cast it during your turn, but not during a battle sequence. Helical Crystallis is great. None of these are what we want. Okay, so we could Hellvent our upgraded unit. Not real excited to do that. I am excited to get an artifact that may do something interesting for us, so let's try that. Incant abilities trigger an additional time, will give us bonus armor and bonus rage, so that's nice. And anything else we get will certainly do more of the same. We can take a Rail Beater. Rail Beater does some cool things of pushing people around and making backline units easier to hit. We can put him in front of the Horned Warrior that we've already got one of. I don't think we get to be choosy on our units because we just need units. So even though, like, ideally we want other things, that's just not what we have going for us. So, Melting Remnant consumable card, we haven't seen any of those yet, so we can't actually look them up in the logbook. Stygian consumable cards can apply silence to things. They can also apply frostbite to things. Umber consumable card could give us trample, or let's look. I don't remember. So we had Stygian Guard, Umbra, and Melting Remnant as our available things. They are spells only, and we can't actually put consumable on this, we just look. So that's a consumable, that's a consumable. Both of those are effectively Frostbite, that's consumable. That is Silence, that we already talked about. Spell Weakness 2, we're already doing some of that anyway, so we don't need that. Consume here to discard our hand and draw another one. That's fine, but not exciting. Okay, so Stygian Guard is unexciting. This one is actually pretty cool. That would give us Excavated Ember. Primal Dust is interesting. Packed Morsels would be fantastic. Space Prism would be fantastic. And Umberstone would be okay. So right now we're much more excited about Umbra and the Melting Remnant we've never seen before. So let's just go with the Umbra because it's highly likely to be something good. There we go. Oh, wow, we get the second choice. So let's go with the Melting Remnant just to see what we get. Nope, Burnout 10's bad because we don't have any Burnout units. I'm not even going to talk about what that is. Oh, we get all 3 choices. So this one's a little random in that you get 3 choices. And each time you pick one, there's a chance that the train falls apart and that's over. There's a small chance each time that you get to go for the next one, and we have actually gotten all 3 of them, which is super great. I will take this just because it's free and being offered to us. I wasn't excited to go directly for Stygian Guard, but it is a spell. It is free, and it does get out of our way, and it does do something that we are otherwise looking to do a little bit of anyway with our Flash Freeze. So that's a fine spell. It just wasn't the absolute top of our list, whereas getting a little bit more space was. Okay, so let's start off. She pushes units to the back, so we want to be a little careful of our order here. I think we can go ahead and put... Oh boy. So we could put Nameless Siren down on the bottom. Her pushing people around does make it a lot harder for us to stack the floors the way we want to, which is really rough. Often we do this by simply putting things in front that are going to die, but we don't have any train stewards. So we have train stewards, we just don't have them in our hand. So let's do it this way. Let's go ahead and stack up our things here. We'll put Horned Warrior up there just so he's not immediately getting punched, and we get ourselves another turn's worth of reprieve. Now everything on this row is dead. That's great. And we did not get our Space Prism. So she's going to go behind Tethys, and then Tethys is in trouble. But what we can do is give ourselves a little bit of wiggling room by putting him there, and then he'll be in front after she gets pushed. I'm not happy about that, but it is what we've got. I do want to put a train steward up top, but I also want to start stacking Frostbite on the boss, which also makes her angrier. Okay, so we can put the train steward here so that he does not get destroyed. We can also kill this thing. And then our choice is, do we want to actually like cast anything here, or do we want to just let those guys go and do an extra 50 damage to the boss with Titan's Gratitude? I think that's our answer there. Let's just get her as whittled down as possible, since she's about to absolutely destroy our Tethys. And I don't think there's anything we can do about it, so I think we just start looking to the future. This floor is fine. This floor is going to take an extra little bit of damage. No, actually, that's 40 damage. That's enough. So let's just save her 7 health. We recognize that, you know, things are the way they are. Then we'll just go ahead and eat a Frozen Lance to make sure that for sure things are dead. Okay. So that's dead, but we can save 2 health on him, so that's cool. I think we could pretty easily cast either of these 2 spells. I'm a little more excited about taking out this guy just in its entirety. Alright, so we finally got Guardian Stone way too late. But we can go ahead and put him out. Reason being, we're going to want to cast a couple of other spells anyway. And that saves her some health because the initial hit will go in him, so he'll tank. We can also give her a ton of rage and get some more Frostbite on there, so cool. So we got through. We didn't take any damage and killed the boss on the bottom floor, so it's the maximum amount of points we can get. Dealing 5 damage and applying Rage 7 is very, very interesting, but I don't think we have the armor to do that yet. Obviously, our Guardian Stone applies 2 armor per spell cast, but we didn't exist until the last turn this last time, so that's a little scary. Being able to do 90 damage to the front enemy unit while attuned is pretty good. It can only be cast on the absolute top floor, but that's also what we're applying spell weakness for, so that's okay. Siren of the Sea is here. That's the other really nice in-camp bonus guy, so I think we take that one and we let the demons have their own floor with Horned Warrior and Railbeater, and then we just focus on incants everywhere else. Okay, so do we take space or do we take energy? I think we take energy. I don't think we need draw right now. I think draw would be very nice later so that we can always get 3 spells, but once again, it's not as important at the moment. We have units that need upgraded now that we have Siren and Railbeater. We have spells that need upgraded with Helical Crystallis, Flash Freeze, and Hornbreak, and Titan's Gratitude, and maybe even Space Prism. So both of those are decent options. We have plenty of health, so we're not super worried about the Pyro Remains, and removal is a pretty solid option. And this does give us an ability to take 1 more unit. So let's look at that. We do have the ability to play a Demon Fiend if we would like to. He is a beefy unit that can do some decent damage. He does, however, take basically an entire turn to put out. I think we still take him, but he may be a little bit of a curse for us until we figure out a good way to get him out all the time. Okay, so we've got Holdover, which we could do on something like Ice and Pyre, so we could just like cast it every single turn and always do 90 damage to the front enemy unit. That seems appealing with the ability for us to also make it free. So the top row is always going to get beat up pretty badly. We can make this consume now because we don't care. And then we re-roll to see what else we get. Okay, removing consume would have been really cool for Space Prism, but that's okay. Let's not worry about it. Let's get a Frozen Lance out of the way now, so it's only going to happen once. And let's make our Helical Crystallis a little bit more castable. That's a pretty good floor overall. I'm not going to knock it there. Damage spells costing -1 on the floor does allow us to do some pretty silly things with casting, but it also means that we're pretty much stuck only casting the damage spells on that floor, and we'll never get Frostbite. Let's do Spell Weakness 2 instead and hope for Frostbite on the last upgrade, because I think being able to sweep with Frostbite is pretty good. Applying Spell Shield 2 is a good way for us to get killed, but I think we have strong enough units that we can make it through, and we might be wrong. We'll see. Okay, so first things first, let's put our Railbeater down here, followed by a Siren, followed by Tethys. We will put a Guardian Stone up here, knowing that our big unit is probably going to go up there. At this point, we're just going to do that just to make her bigger, even though like that gives more armor to him. I'm just going to hope that, you know, we can deal with it appropriately. Okay, so we can actually mostly kill this guy, I think, by just going like that. The double whammy has done us some work. Now we just get a choice on how we want to kill this thing. I mean, our Demon Fiend is the only spell that we don't cast. Getting a Queen's Impling out is fine here. I don't think it does any good anywhere else, which means then we can actually Hornbreak elsewhere. If we Hornbreak here, that does go straight through, which means that all the damage from everybody else goes into him, which makes it less likely that he actually hits our core. This guy dying is fine. Let's put our Nemo Siren up here. She is our sort of end boss for the floor. He still has 1 damage shield left, which we can Flash Freeze to make sure to go ahead and apply the Frostbite. That goes through damage shield. The damage shield only blocks the initial damage, not bonus effects. And then the consumed frozen lamps will finish the job. From here, we get a choice to either put Horned Warrior up in the middle floor to get some damage down later, or we can go ahead and Frozen Lance to drop this guy up 2 and these guys down 1 spell shield. I think it's more important to get our units on the field. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was more useful to... Well, what's done is done. Okay, so Space Prism, because it's free. We have no more units that we care about, so we are going to put a Strain Steward down on this floor just so that he exists. We're also putting him in the back, which is a choice that we are making. We're going to put another Train Steward here. We're out of space now. This guy's dead, which is a little unfortunate. And then we will consume this to knock this spell shield off. Okay, so bottom floor is starting to look pretty rough. This floor is starting to look a little rough. This guy has no damage, so we don't care. So we can just step through and do some damage there, that's fine. We can do that to do some damage, that's fine. And we'll put this in front of the way and give her some bonus incanted abilities. Yeah, that's fine. Him going up is fine. And this person is super dead. Ice Empire has finally deigned to show up. It is holdover. We're going to cast it. He's going to die anyway, but the main point is we got the incant abilities going here, and we'll get him next turn. We can put the crystalline seeds out. That seems great. We can put this on there. That seems great. And then at this point, we can actually cast that a couple of times, and that's good. So these guys will die. This guy takes about half of his life. We're in decent shape. I think we do actually win. We also have the bonus ability of having put, what is that, 12 spell weakness on him. So if we do a Horn Break now, that does 90 damage, or we could just wait till next turn and Ice Empire for a hilarious amount of damage. We can't put Demon Fiend out once again, and I don't really want to cast any of these spells because I want to preserve the spell weakness, so we just hit end turn. Okay, and here we go. This is the whole point of putting spell weakness on things. That is 1300 damage, ladies and gentlemen. That is more health than he started with. We win. Okay. It's a slow burn to get up there. I would like to figure out a way to make that not as slow. Ideally, our top floor actually may be Nameless Siren, Siren of the Sea, and Guardian Stone, which is already 6 capacity, including our Space Prism there. So I don't think we need another Guardian Stone. Frenzied Swarm is another interesting way for us to tank, because our tanking is not our strongest suit right now, and applying Dazed 1 to enemy units does give us the ability to stop them from hitting us. Battering Ram is hilarious when it comes up. We are not really doing that much in terms of armor right now. If we had Incant Gain armor, then obviously Battering Ram is super amazing. Important Work is not necessary. The four imps that we have are dying easily enough, and we're not going to have as many of those later, as you probably well know. And then I don't really feel like spending 3 to double the amount of armor on a unit, as that doesn't seem to be... well... I say that, but then I realize that armor may be the only way for us to survive, so I may need to get more armor somehow. Huh. Okay, so now I just need to look for a renewable way to get more armor. We can also look to go ahead and upgrade some units. I think it's pretty obvious that our units are struggling, falling a little bit behind. Unstable Vortex is also pretty nice. We have enough money to upgrade some things. So, do we have another Merchant of Steel coming up anytime soon? There is no Merchant of Steel here. We're definitely going this path. This is super awesome. Those are 3 things that we really like. We can go to a Merchant of Steel here, which would give up another thing there. So do we care more about a Concealed Caverns or a Forgotten Boons? Because I think we take one or the other of these and not both. So we can do a Concealed Caverns this way and then another Concealed Caverns this way. That gives us a couple of random events. I like that, and I think we have enough health to survive Fell. So let's do this. This also gets us rid of the Train Stewards which cleans up our deck a little bit faster. Merchant of Magic first, just in case we're bringing up units there. So we could make days 2. That's actually pretty good. At which point now we want to make that cast 1 again. 20 magic power and consume is a good way to get rid of the frozen lance, so let's do that. And we reroll to remove consume and cost +1. So that goes on reinforce now, and then obviously we make it castable again by making it cost 3. So this is now just going to double every time we cast it, but we do have to be careful because it is basically our entire turn to cast. Okay. Let's see what we get. Could be good, could be bad. Mr. Pinchy does not know. Gift of Gratitude we have won with. Petty Theft we've won with. Heaven's Gold doesn't do anything, but it doesn't get in our way. I think I like taking Gift of Gratitude here just to get a little bit of an influx of cash without having to worry about, well, you know what? This does scale with Forgotten Names. We could potentially make some money off of it. That being said, we have so many damage spells. Let's just take Honest, and then hopefully we'll get some money. Since we're obviously poor and have messed up one of our collectors already, we'll probably do so again. Okay, them healing when they go up floors isn't necessarily a problem when we have the Pyre-bound Ice and Pyre. That being said, our first turn may very well be just making money. Okay. Okay, so we know that this goes out there. So Tethys dying is a little bit of an inevitability, but I think we can forego it for 1 turn by doing that. We can do it even more by doing a Hornbreak there. I do the Order Matters here, so we make sure that that gets Frostbite, and then we can actually kill that guy for real. And we did get our 3 spells cast, so that's great. Okay, so we're starting to very slowly get the units that we need. Ice and Pyre is going to need to get cast here. Siren of the Sea is actually going to sit, and hopefully we'll get it again once we have a chance to Space Prism, because I don't think we can afford. Actually, you know what? We can just put it here, because this is where we are going to alternately be casting a fair bit, and then we can actually kill that guy. So this guy is just really a stopgap. The bottom floor isn't doing anything for us. We're okay with that. That being said, what we can do is, you know, take off little bits of cash here and there. So let's do as much damage as possible. Okay, so that top floor doesn't matter, but we're going to do it anyway. We can get all these things out of the way and then instantly kill this thing, I think. Cool. Okay, that's fairly obvious as far as what we wanted to do there. The Space Prism no longer matters, so we just cast it in order to get the armor. We can Frenzied Swarm here in a second. Let's go ahead and get as many spells in as we can. Okay. Obviously we cast this up here. It seems useful. I think obviously we go ahead and Flash Freeze this guy. We are going to get some things there, so the choice is whether we go ahead and Flash Freeze again. She's only going to get 2 hits in, so we will actually get a few. No, she will get 3 hits in, which is 39 damage, so unfortunately this thing is dead before it ever does anything. So he will do only 2 spell weakness. So I think... Well, doubling the armor doesn't do that much. It only gives us basically 12, 14 armor on this guy. But it does give us another double a rage. Whereas Flash Freeze is going to give us Frostbite 8, which is 8 damage a turn additionally. So this basically gives us one additional turn at 60 damage versus several turns at less than 60 damage. That's a hard choice. That is a hard choice. I think with what's coming up, we're going to be wanting to cast Ice and Pyre anyway, which is going to mostly do our job for us. So I think it doesn't matter much. Maybe that. Yeah. So working as intended. Conserving Ember between turns is cool if you actually get Ember, but we are usually pretty poor on that front. Offering Amulet is pretty cool there. Guardian's Amulet, sorry, with Offering. Applying Frozen to a card in our hand is nice if we have something that synergizes with that, which we don't. That's good. March of Shields is our first, like, make armor thing, so we're going to take that. And at this point, we said that we were going this way. Let's see what we get. 7 on the first turn of battle immediately helps us with that. 3 magic power is only 3 turns worth of Forgotten Name. I say only, it is good. It is not as good as getting 7 Ember for the entire battle. But we can spread out between turns. Normally you think, oh no, that 7 Ember is going to go to waste, but because we can conserve it, that does some really, really good things for us. So getting rid of Frozen Lances is obviously kind of a good choice here, so I think we're just going to get rid of both of those. And then we can Hellbent something that we really like. Frenzied Swarm comes to mind, Ice and Pyre comes to mind, March of Shields comes to mind, Space Prism comes to mind, Reinforce comes to mind. I'm okay with having just 1 Reinforce, I think that may be enough. Ice and Pyre, similarly, probably we only need 1, because I don't want to make all of my draws have that twice. I also probably don't need more than 1 Space Prism, which means Frenzied Swarm is probably our duplicate. And that way we can pseudo-tank a little easier. It gives us, I mean, our deck is 27 cards, and we only have 2 of those in there, so we draw them, at least in the initial pass, we only draw them once every 3 turns on average. So her having Rage is a problem. It's less of a problem if we put Demon Fiend in front, but it's still a problem. So I think we just go ahead and stick with the plan and do our sweep floor on the bottom to make sure we take care of all the enemies that way. And then we save a little bit of health on this guy by doing that. And then we can actually... order mattered a little bit there. I should have done Aethylical Crystallis first because that would have killed it. I don't know that I need to kill it though. I think I can just kill this one. And that way Horned Warrior can go ahead and come out. And that way we've got some damage rolling. Okay, so we still haven't hit the units that we want to hit. We're kind of okay with that. We could Space Prism here. You know what? I think we can kill this unit here. So once again, giving us a little bit more time to worry about things. We'll go ahead and Space Prism here. We'll go ahead and Rail Beater here. So we only have kind of a setup going that way. So these things are all dead, and he has 55 damage going into him. So I think we can go ahead and oops, let's move up here. Go ahead and start working on Flash Freezing this guy to death. So we won't have our Guardian Stone here if we put, since we used our Space Prism on the bottom. So instead, I think we put the Siren of the Sea here. And we can go ahead and put this here, knowing it's going to die. That's totally fine. And we will double that man's armor? Does it even matter? Do we even care? I don't really care. I'd rather... Well, no, since that one's only doing 5 damage, it's pretty easy for us to go ahead and frenzy, or the daze down here, which means applying the extra armor is not wasted. Cool. Where is my Guardian Stone? That is what I want to... So I think putting March of Shields on here is fairly obvious. Obviously doing that is fairly obvious because it's the only place we can do it. At which point then we just kind of are left with where we want to do everything else. So he's whatchamacallit, so we don't have to worry about that. Put a little bit of damage in there and then kill him. Okay, so we're moving along. Things aren't crazy hilarious, except that actually we can do 300 damage. That's really good. Hey, come back up here. That was cool. I like that. Let's put him here. That'll save him some damage there. Let's put this frostbite there, and then daze these two guys. And 2 more turns of this nonsense. Alright, very good. We finally got our things. That gets us in a little armor. That guy's dead, that guy's not. And not a whole lot we can do about that, but that's okay. We can save ourselves a little bit of health there. And then I think we just go ahead and hasten the demise of this man. Just to make sure we don't have to worry too much about it. So our top floor is really shaping up to be the one that we have to be the absolute most careful about, but also ends up being the one that we are most excited to do things with. I am not going to put Flash Freeze on her right now because that would waste the 2 spell weakness. The Ice Empire is obviously what we're going to cast first. Then the real question is, I mean, discarding your hand doesn't help when you have both of these, so we only get to cast one anyway. That thing being dead means that we can go ahead and Flash Freeze that. I do like going ahead and doubling this guy's armor, and then our choice of, do we take 2 extra rounds? I think doing this means that we get a bonus round on the bottom of him slamming spell weakness in, and then Ice Empire is going to clean up pretty nicely. So we're in good shape. I think this fight is all but won. Obviously, we're just going to cast these 2 spells, even though they don't do anything this round. Him dying is not really a problem. The real question is whether or not we want to go ahead and cast Helical Crystallis for a burst of extra damage, or if we want to save it. And I think because we have the Flash Freeze, we go ahead and do the Helical Crystallis for the 240 damage, and then we go ahead and stack some extra Frostbite on there, because now when we get up to the top floor, it's going to do even more. And I really don't worry about this too much. We're already looking at a situation where we're micro-optimizing a win that exists already. Yeah, I mean, he's got 8 spell weakness, so 9 times 9 is 810 damage that we're going to do, so... You know. Ice Empire, 1125, because we also have spell power, and the spell power is being amplified by the fact that it's attuned, so... even at base 90 damage, it was going to do a lot. But obviously it does more than that. I'll harness the Titans away for us to improve all of our spells, but I think, again, we're getting spell power kind of every turn anyway. Siren's Song is another way for us to do Pyrobound things. I don't think we need it, but I think that is closer to what we start caring about. So I think we may actually take that, knowing that we can use Ice Empire to take out anything that has too much health, and then using Siren's Song to push other things up. We have a lot of bonus energy. We didn't really run out, so I think we can actually take space. And the reason we take space is just so that we don't have to worry about Space Prism making that top floor bonusable, because I think at the end we probably want to do Guardian Stone plus Nameless Siren plus Siren of the Sea as our top floor. Do we have other things that we really want to get rid of is the only other question. I mean, Queen's Implings come to mind as things that we can get rid of, but not things that we're excited. to base an entire floor's decision off of? Do we have spells that we super need upgrading? Hornbreak comes to mind as something that could certainly use a little bit of a bonus, but I'm really more excited that I think Siren of the Sea, and to a lesser extent Demon Fiend, kind of need some love and attention, so let's go ahead and do that. Multi-strike is an obvious first choice for Siren of the Sea. That seems absolutely fantastic. Plus 25 health seems obvious for our Demon Fiend friend here, or for our Rail Beater, both of which are doing some pretty good work. By the way, we put multi-strike on this, even though it's a 5/10, as opposed to multi-strike on the Demon Fiend, because this thing can very easily have more than 50 damage by the end if you're casting spells all the time on the top floor, which we will be. And the incantability pops up twice per turn, so he actually gets 4/4 every time. Not even per turn, per cast. So he gets 4/4 every time he casts a spell on its floor. So it only takes like 12 spells to exceed the stats of Demon Fiend. And at that point, it's just, it's really a no-brainer. Let's do bonus health on Rail Beater, just to make him last a little bit longer. I think we can actually kind of skip the Rage. Don't think the Rage matters. Well, you know what? Rage is fine. We'll just make Horned Warrior do a little bit more damage for the first couple of turns. Large Stone is really awkward. We could do it on Demon Fiend, and then he can kind of be his own floor. And we'll do everybody else on the other floors. Plus 5, plus 10. Once again, that can kind of easily go anywhere. Is this the last time we're going to take unit upgrades? No, we might actually go, well, yeah, we might go here. And who all can be upgraded? Okay, let's look at that. Grade 7. So we have Demon Fiend, Guardian Stone, Siren of the Sea, and Rail Beater. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possible upgrades versus spell-wise 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So I think we do probably go to the... Well, this one has an unstable vortex too. Even so, we'll still probably go here. So we can leave open the Siren for getting quick. Well, okay. I'm rethinking myself again. Flash Freeze is fine as is, but Hornbreak kind of isn't. If I Hellvent, what am I Hellventing? No, I really do want to go to the other Merchant of Steel. Okay, so the 5/10, I think, just goes on Guardian Stone, just to make sure it doesn't get blown up on its first turn. And then the Rage 7 can probably not have to exist, and then we will purge a Queen Symbol. Then we may actually purge one of our other spells later. Let's see what Concealed Caverns gives us. You know what? Actually, that's fine. We'll take the money, we'll go back, and I think we can go ahead and buy the Rage then for somebody. So our main choices there are going to be putting it into Demon Fiend or putting it into the side. No, we'll just save the money. We'll save the money. And obviously we get our last upgrade, and applying Frostbite 10 is probably pretty good. Not looking super easy as a win. Them healing is not a problem, as long as we can get our damage spells rolling. Okay. So I think we set up a Demon Fiend and Tethys on this floor, understanding that we do kind of have to sack the bottom floor now. but Siren and the Guardian Stone can already fit up there, so we can increase the space of this one, and then we can fit like the Demon Warrior or the pushback guy there. And obviously we do this just to take out some guys. Cool. Main reason we wanted to do that is because these guys explode for 5, and having them do 30 damage to our front line is terrifying. Okay, so putting Rail Beater up front gives us a few more options to work with, at which point Horned Warrior can kind of do whatever. We can put him out there, he'll die. We can put him out here, he won't die. We can Horn Break this guy, and we can kill that guy, that's fine. Okay, great. We got our units that we really wanted. And we got our spells that we really wanted, so we're pretty much firing on all cylinders now at this point. That's a kill. That's a daze. That's a kill. We got a daze coming up. So we can do things like reinforce, consume, flash freeze, daze. As long as we've only ever got one unit up here, we're really not concerned about anything else. No problem, we'll get these things here. Let's just cast another spell to get some stuff going. Love that sound. Super cool. Yep, no problem, no problem. Cast some things that happen on the top floor only. Cast some things to get rid of frontline units. And then a Blind Daze doesn't matter, so we're just going to get some more armor and rage and bonus stacks. By the way, notice we're already up to 41 times 2. By the time we hit him going up there, we're gonna have more than that. March of Shields and Ice Empire and Hornbreak and Flash Freeze. He will not heal all of his health going up because he's a boss, not a unit. That's enough to get a fair number of spell weakness in there, so Ice Empire should do the entirety of the rest of our workforce. Fantastic. Okay. Cruising right along. I don't think we need this, I don't think we need this, and I don't think we need this. Obviously Titan's Tooth is cool, but really only ever works if we've got Frenzied Swarm. And I would rather get to a point where we're drawing Frenzied Swarm pretty regularly. Well, if we're doing that, then I could take a Titan's Tooth, actually. Because I'm getting rid of spells here. Probably going to be getting rid of one of our Horn Breaks. And, well, let's look at it. Okay, so none of these units last. These 4 spells last, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So right now I have 11 spells, which is an average of, plus dead weight. That does actually last. So 12. So even if I get rid of 2, I'm drawing things every other turn. It gives me a pretty good chance of getting Frenzied Swarm with Titan's Tooth, because then that brings it up to 13, which then goes to 11 if I remove 2. But it also means that sometimes I just draw it and nothing happens. And I'm applying enough Frostbite already. I don't think I care. I think it's far better at this point to go ahead and make sure that what we do is in line with what we want to do. Don't need consume spells back. What we really care about is casting Ice Empire every turn. Yeah, so I think we just take the money, we take the removal. We have the option of getting rid of 2 spells that come back instead of Implings, so we're going to do that. The question is whether we do Hornbreak and Flash Freeze or Hornbreak and one of our Frenzied Swarms. That feels bad. Yeah, I think we do the Flash Freeze. It doing 3 damage and Frostbite Eat is obviously the most Frostbite that we're doing. I'm far more concerned with doing crazy levels of other things. Let's look at the trinkets first. Units entering with Frostbite 2 is fine. Friendly units gaining 2 on Slay is fine when a card with Consume is played. How many of those do we have? We have a fair number. So that's a lot of damage. Friendly units gaining 2 on Slay is less important this time because most of our slaying is actually done with the Ice Empire and Tethys. And Tethys doesn't actually rely on attack damage to kill things. He's mostly putting stacks of spell weakness and frostbite on stuff, so he's a little bit of a weird champ there. Like, he will kill backline units, and so he's going to get stacks, but those stacks don't translate into him doing any meaningful amount of damage to frontline or boss units. So I think that one, it's not a trap, but it's not amazing. Entering with Frostbite 2 does allow us to ignore the bottom floor a little bit more easily, but not necessarily to a crazy level unless we also get the other thing there, which we didn't, so that's fine. Summoning a second unit during a turn gaining 3 will super boost our Ember conservation, so I think we take that. And then let's go ahead and upgrade our units. Getting another stack of multi-strike on Siren is super fantastic, so we're going to do that. At which point, 10 or Rage 7. So with the 3 upgrades we're going to do, we're just going to bank on seeing something cooler this way. And can't gain armor 2 is good. Let's do it on him, so that he has a chance of living for longer. We could actually put a large stone on this guy, but I don't want to. I think we're going to skip the large stone, which is, again, a little bit of a feels bad, but I'm okay with it. Guardian Stone being just a little bigger is some damage going in. We can go back here and see if we can afford any other spells. No, we can't. So we could purge additional cards if we wanted to. We can technically put large stone on like a imp and have it tank just a little bit on the bottom floor. We could technically put it on Demon Fiend, but then he really does take up his own floor entirely. I think I'm happier not doing that. So what did we do before? We had Demon Fiend, because did we take the extra space? We did take the extra space. So with 7, we had Demon Fiend plus Rail Beater plus Tethys. Which I'm comfortable keeping as the status quo, is what it comes down to. Do we want Hornbreak? I don't know that we care about having Hornbreak anymore. We don't care about backline damage anymore because our backline damage is literally just murder everything with Tethys as long as the front line stays alive. That being said, I'm okay with just having one of them, that's fine. So let's kind of leave it as is and just get rid of one more Queen's Impling. No, hold on. No, we're just going to leave it as is. That's fine. We'll have 100. Well, at that point, then just upgrade a Queen's Impling. Right. Okay. Might as well use the money for something useful. And we move on. We were 5 gold short of taking one of our other artifacts, and it doesn't make us cry because we got what we wanted. We would have really liked to see one of the other things here, but I think we're okay without any of that. Okay, so we got a good start here. Got the Nameless Island, got the Ice Empire, got the Space Prison, got the Demon Fiend, and got the Tethys. So, I mean, obviously we were going to get the Tethys, but everything else is pretty well set up for the first turn. Okay, Siren of the Sea goes in, Ice Empire goes in, this guy goes in, he gets double armor, and all of these people get frenzied. Okay, or dazed, sorry. Okay, good. Firing on all cylinders here. We can go ahead and apply some crystalline seeds to this guy. That seems good. We can go ahead and apply ice and fire to that guy. That seems good. We can go ahead and put our Horned Warrior out. That seems whatever. We'll go ahead and do that, because then we don't take any damage and we get some additional rage and he's dying. Then we really just question whether or not we want these guys to do 12 damage to him. I think the answer is no. So we do that, he dies, that's fine. He is no longer the important part of our deck, like at all. And we lose 3 energy, it's totally fine. Don't lose any more that way. We can actually consume and take this guy out, so let's go ahead and do other things first. Let's do that there. We do our 3 damage there to make sure that goes in somewhere useful. We do that there to make sure it does something useful, and now we are no longer worried about losing energy for the next 3 turns. Okay, Ice Empire is here to once again do some things, but order might matter a little bit. Order doesn't matter even a little bit. Boy, I would love to see my Guardian Stone, but he is at the bottom. So let's go ahead and get our March of Shields going, that's fine. Let's go ahead and get our Ice Empire going, that's fine. Let's go ahead and put our Queen's Ink on, that's totally fine. Then we just question whether or not I think we do this here and this here. That saves a little bit of health on, well, pseudo health on that guy. Okay, he's dead, so we don't worry about it. That's great. We can put Guardian Stone up in the middle here, so it saves a little bit of time there. This guy there, that's totally fine. Ice Empire is obvious. Save ourselves a little bit of health there, and obviously provide a little bit more armor as well. So that's why we put the Incant Armor on him. Gives 4 armor every time we cast a spell. We're casting a spell decently often. Okay, order. So first of all, March of Shields, obvious. Second of all, we can kill both of these units with anything we do, so really we just do this, and then we do this, and we stop thinking about it. And I think what we do is we actually do this as well to save even more health, and then we daze this for. Okay, final wave. Everything's going pretty much according to plan, so don't think we change anything. So kill that guy. We can Siren Song here. I don't know if we want to, but we can. We'll go ahead and reinforce here. I think that's pretty obvious there. 40 damage 3 times is enough to kill, so let's go ahead and do that. Also gets another incant bonus here. And then we just save some health and get a little bit of armor. Okay, cool. That floor wasn't doing it for us anyway, that's no problem. Wow, that's almost enough to kill that guy just off of itself. That's cool. So Ice Empire obviously gives us a few things there. Milk and Crystallis gives us a few things there. Probably should have done things in a little bit of an alternate order, but that's okay. We'll just go ahead and do this. And we'll do this, and we'll just get a little bit of extra days going there so we can do quite a bit of damage. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So 16 stacks of this is going to make us do absolutely brutal amounts of damage, so let's go ahead and stack up everything else that we want to. Wow, order is really important. March of Shields should have happened before we doubled everything, but I think we don't care. And then we, kill with 21, 25 damage on that thing, so. We didn't even need to cast the other spells, but it always feels good. Okay, so that was a solid win. We got through in relatively decent time, just over an hour, even talking through some of the decisions we did, so that seems pretty good. We don't feel too bad about taking the urn there. Because it really did scale ourselves pretty nicely. Yeah, we're unlocking some things, that's cool. Hey, we maxed out on Hellhorned. Personal damage record, that's good. Yeah, we mastered a few more cards, so that's always nice. But yeah, looking at our run summary just real quickly, one of the things we want to notice is we made a couple of decisions along the way where we picked up a forgotten name, which gave us magic power for the rest of everything, and then we took a founding seal, and I think these two together pretty much were the name of the game for everything else that we were doing. We wanted to cast Frenzy Swarm every turn, we wanted to cast Ice and Pyre every turn, we wanted to cast Helical Crystallis every turn, and those kinds of things were giving us enough damage to where all the armor that we were stacking on the top row never came into play because things just died before they could hit us. They were dazed, so they weren't hitting us. So we really could have just actually skipped the reinforce. I think it came up exactly one time in the middle row where we saved a unit, but that would have cleaned up our thing a little bit. But it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt to take that. It was a spell to cast. We had enough energy with the Firebox, Unbroken Horn, and Hell's Banners. Give us so much extra Ember that we could burn to cast an expensive spell like Reinforce that it was totally fine to take. But it's just useful to note that like if you're really looking to get that I want to draw the same hand every turn kind of a thing, we didn't need 2 Frenzy Swarms, and we didn't need Reinforce, and we really didn't need our frozen lands were already going away. We didn't need our Horn Break, and we didn't need the Flash Freeze. So we could have had just like Dead Weight, 1 Frenzied Swarm, Sirens. We didn't even really need Siren Song. So Dead Weight, Frenzied Swarm, Ice and Pyre. Your choice of one of the other damage spells, probably Helical Crystallis, and then, March of Shields, or you could go ahead and take Siren Song if you wanted to, and then you're just literally only ever casting on the top row, but, whatever. Whole point being, that kind of gives you your 5-spell combo that you want to do, but it's super unnecessary to get to that level of reinforcement. I wanted to say Ascension, but Cov10 version of Seraph has, I believe, 4,000 health, and us doing 2,000 damage with the Ice and Pyre on the last part of it, without even it going into the combat phase, means that we would have pretty comfortably won that fight even on maximum Covenant level. So there we go. GG. Hopefully you learned something. And if you didn't learn something, hopefully at least you had fun. All right, we'll catch you for the next run.